See, you clicked on this video because you want to take your photography seriously. You want to turn this into your full-time career and you don't want to just make it a hobby that you do on the weekends sometimes. And you actually want to get paid to do shoots that you find fun and you find creatively fulfilling and not just these boring shoots that you do for money. Because at that point, you may as well just get a normal 9-to-5 office job because either way, you're not going to find the jobs fun. If photography, or more specifically your portrait and fashion photography, is something that you want to go all in on and make it your full-time career, we have to make sure that it's actually fun and it doesn't feel like work. But sadly, a lot of photographers fall into this trap of relying on these boring and unfulfilling shoots to pay their bills. Yeah, they get paid a decent amount of money for it, but overall, their job is quite sad, frankly. Okay, so let's say there's two types of photographers. You've got the slave photographer and you've got the genius photographer. So the slave photographer, they just do a bunch of commercial shoots. They do events, they do some festivals or something like that. They just do maybe some weddings or something. They just do that sort of stuff. But overall, the clients expect from them basic commercial, safe looking work. You know what I mean? They don't go for anything stylized or unique because they think that's like too distracting or something like that. Like, you can imagine the type of work that the slave photographer would be creating, right? You can imagine very commercialized type of stuff. The lighting is very bland and high key. The color grading is very basic. There may be even like not even color grade at all. There's event photographers that don't even do color grading. They shoot JPEGs and they just send off the JPEG images because they can't edit it because they don't have enough time to edit because the client wants it next day. And it's just, they're not creating work that is actually creative or different in any sort of way. You can imagine the money is pretty decent. Sometimes you can get paid up to 6 figures on the very high end with that type of work, but they're not creating work that other people couldn't create. Like they're technically good photos, but they're not photos that pop out to you, that photos that you can look back on and be like, these are really good photos I created that day. It's more like basic, you know what I mean? Boring. And even on the shoots itself, it's quite boring, it's very backbreaking sometimes. It actually feels like work. Like, it doesn't feel like a passion that you've pursued, you know what I mean? It actually feels like a 9-to-5 like office job, for example, which is something that you don't want, in my opinion. And their whole reputation as a photographer is around someone that could just take the right photo, not someone that could have a personalized style and create something unique and that will stand out. The genius photographer, on the other hand, does the fun shoots. They do the cool creative editorial work, the fashion stuff, the cool portrait stuff, whatever it is, they're creating work and they get to experiment on the photo shoots while getting paid to do so. And even if they're doing the same types of shoots as the slave photographers, even in those shoots, they get to express their style. They get to edit it however they like because the clients expect that look from them. Because imagine if you're filling your portfolio with quite creative work, clients that want to hire you in the future are going to expect that specific look. They're not going to look at your creative work and be like, I want commercial, boring stuff. They're going to be like, okay, I want that sort of style, I want this editorial sort of style, I want this really creative looking photos because I want these photos to stand out and to make my brand or whatever it is stand out and pop. And yes, of course, they can still do these commercial shoots like the slave photographer, but they don't have to rely on that. They can still do them for money and stuff like that, but it's not something that they do only that. It's like their whole work is based around this commercial stuff. They probably do that a couple of times a year just to make some money. It's not like their main business venture, if that makes any sense, you know what I mean? And in general, the shoots they just do are fun. They don't feel like work. You know, when I'm doing photo shoots, for example, I don't feel like, oh, this is a work, this is a job, I'm on a shift at the moment. I feel like this is just fun. This is like my hobby. This feels like amazing to me, you know what I mean? It just feels like a sport, like an activity. It doesn't feel like an actual job, if that makes any sense, which is the goal, in my opinion. And also another thing, you get to really find yourself as a photographer when you are a genius photographer. You get to go out there, experiment, try different things. You're finding yourself as a photographer while getting paid to do so. You're not confined to this one style of shooting because that client wants this and like they only want JPEGs, or you can't experiment with color grading because the clients want JPEG photos and not the RAWs, or they don't want the RAW files, but they don't want you to shoot RAW and edit them afterwards. They want the basic look. It's like you don't get that when you're a slave photographer, but when you're a genius photographer, you get to really do anything you'd like. And clients, like brands and whoever it is, are open to that, which is amazing. Yes, obviously there's a skill gap and there's a difficulty gap there when it comes to becoming a genius photographer. It's much harder than being a slave photographer that just shoots events all the time. But I think it's worth it. It is worth it because once you've established that branding of, okay, I'm a stylized, I'm an experimental photographer that has my own unique way of shooting. That is the end goal, and that is what you want to get to. And overall, the genius photographer is going to get paid more than the slave photographer. In those early stages, you could argue that the genius photographer isn't going to be making that much money because it's harder to establish that, like I said. But then compared to like a slave photographer who just does events and boring stuff like that. But once you've established that branding there, you're going to be getting paid way more because your work is unique. Only you can replicate the types of photos that you create, which makes you more valuable in the market. It's just basically like capitalism right there, right? If you make work and have skills that no one else can replicate, you can charge more, and you're more desirable in the marketplace, which is something that you want. And as a genius photographer, you get to create amazing work that you're genuinely proud of. Like you can look back at your portfolio and just be like, you know what, those photos turned out really good. I'm so happy I created those, and be like genuinely proud of the work. You can print it off on the wall or something. I've created work where I've looked back on and been like, you know what, that was my favorite photo shoot. That was such a good photo shoot, and you get good memories from it. It's fulfilling. You obviously got paid for that photo shoot, so obviously you made money from it. So it's not just a psychological thing, like an ego thing, but you also helped yourself financially. It's just overall a great experience. On the other hand, with a slave photographer, do you think they're doing that? You think they're looking back at some photos that they took from an event? Then not really. Obviously, there are event photographers out there that are like the genius photographers that do take stylized work. They've got cool like effects, like lens filters or something like that. Obviously, I'm not saying every event photographer or something like that is like that, but there are event photographers out there that just go to an event, take some photos on JPEG, they don't even use RAW, they don't even edit them afterwards, and they just send them off. Well, that's cool, that's fine, I guess, but you want to do that? You want to do that for the rest of your life? If you're watching this video, you don't want to do that for the rest of your life, why would you want to do something like that all the time? If you have to do that on occasion at the start of your career because you want to make some money to fund the creative stuff, that's completely fine. But you want to get to a point where you're not doing those shoots or you're not relying on those shoots. And I personally think that photography to them, like the slave photographers, isn't even an art. Photography is an art. The genius photographers treat this as an art and as a passion that we get paid to do so. But a slave photographer, they don't see it like that. They just see it as like, oh, I just like photography. Like, they don't even like photography. They're just doing it because it's easy money. You know what I mean? They're not doing it because they actually genuinely have a passion for photography. They're just doing it because, oh yeah, like I'm quite decent with a camera and I feel like I can take some pretty decent photos and I'll just do that. And they get paid. That's it. You don't want to be like that, guys. Come on. And obviously, as you can tell, what I'm trying to say is that we want to be the genius photographer. Yes, again, like I said earlier, it can be more difficult to get into this sort of space of this stylized work, but it's worth it in the long run. The reward is immense. And it's just, yes, okay, if you were, okay, I'm going to commit to events, festivals, whatever, that sort of stuff. Yeah, you could get into that at the start and make a bunch of money in the beginning stages. Like, I sometimes used to do events and weddings and stuff. I can imagine if I stuck to events and that sort of stuff, I have a lot of connections with, not a lot, but I have a decent amount of connections with organizers, like event organizers and all these people that do events. I could easily be like, if I really pushed it, I could have been, okay, I'm an event photographer, I'm cold emailing all these organizers saying, oh, do you have an event coming up? I'd love to shoot it. I'll be making shit tons of money. You know what I mean? But that's not something I wanted to do, because I imagine I did that now, I would probably have stagnated or plateaued at a certain income level. But now, because I didn't pursue that, and I pursued the creative side of photography, in those early stages, yes, I wasn't getting any paid work. I was getting barely any paid shoots. I was doing a lot of collaborative shoots, but now I've kind of established myself as that. And it's been like a year, 2 years, and I'm finally getting creative jobs, consistent creative jobs every single month where I'm able to make enough money. So it's about going for the long-term goal, that long-term reward. Don't just think the short-term little thrill of, oh, I can make $1,000 now, £1,000 the next month or something like that if I do events. But like, if you stick to that, you're going to be you stick to event photography, you're going to be sticking at that income level for a while. It might make you some quick money at the start, and the creative stuff won't really make you any money at the start unless you can. Obviously you can, but all I'm trying to say is that in the long run, the creative pursuit is more rewarding financially, creatively, and just life fulfilling. It's more fulfilling.
Yeah,
you know
it
what I
was
mean?
all so simple. If I really wanted, then I got it. More than profit, melanin glow.
Okay, so how would you make that transition from slave to genius photographer, or how would you just become a genius photographer in the first place? Well, the first tip I would give you is just by finding and expressing your style from the start. Like, obviously you want to have a personal style and a specific style to show that you are a unique and creative photographer. But it's not just about that, but it's about showing it from the start. Like, from the very beginning of your portfolio, I want all of your photos to be stylized, creative, and different. And if you are going to do like commercial types of shoots, I would say you could avoid putting it on your portfolio, but if you are, I would say put it into different sections. Like for me on my website, I have like a editorial, creative, and like personal work section. Then I have like a commercial section that I've done for clothing brands, that I've just done for myself or whatever it is. I've got that on there. So it's really, you're differentiating it. So it's not just showing like that is what I actually do. It's more like, oh, I can do some commercial stuff as well. Because I was speaking to someone on my program, by the way, top link below, and we were on a call, and he was asking me, should I put my commercial work on my portfolio too? Because I've done some stuff for clothing brands. And I'm like, you can put that on there, but just make sure to put it into different sections, because if you put like the boring commercial stuff on your main portfolio, people are going to think that you do that. And when you get clients that want to hire you, they're going to want that sort of look, you know what I mean? So I would say put that into different sections so you can really like tell them, communicate with them like, yeah, that's just something I can do, but that's not my specialism. I want you to take risks. I want you to try new things every single time, experiment. And also, especially this, I don't want you to be afraid of making mistakes, because it's bound to happen at the end of the day. I made so many mistakes in my early career of like when I was doing photo shoots, and I'm happy I made those mistakes because it's what's building me up as a photographer today, and it's a reason why I am so good today. There's a reason why my work is the work that it is because of those mistakes that I made in those early stages. I almost piled up all those mistakes that I made, and now I just don't make any of them anymore. It's like I've been conscious of the mistakes I made. I was like, okay, do not do that again on your next photo shoot. And okay, now I don't do that. But then there's another mistake that I make. It's like a new little error that I do, and like, oh, now I can't do that. And it's like, you know what I mean, I'm piling up all those mistakes, and now I've done basically every mistake possible when it comes to being a photographer on a shoot. So now it's like I don't really make any mistakes on my photo shoots. So the last few photo shoots I've done, they've been quite frankly flawless. Like I don't think I made like a stupid silly mistake and I didn't do this and I missed out on this, or the lighting wasn't right, or the pose wasn't right, or something like that, or I missed out on this shot. Like every shoot has been perfect. And how do you give yourself the opportunity to experiment and try new things and make mistakes? Well, it's by doing collaborative shoots. I would say you want to do genius shoots. That's why I like to call them genius shoots. This is where you plan it out. This is where you plan out the photo shoot. You think of a lighting plan, you get a mood board, styling plan, hair, makeup, the location you're going to shoot in, what is the set design going to be. You're really going all out for the photo shoot. You're not just rocking up onto the shoot being like, let's take some photos guys, but you're actually like planning it out beforehand. You've got a concept in mind, you've got a story, there's a narrative that you want to show there. There's something there that has some sort of substance to the photos, because that is what's going to make your photos unique and stand out, is focusing on these external factors and focusing on basically everything in your photo and thoroughly planning them out. Because if you don't do that and you're just shooting and you're not really like, you're just mindlessly shooting, then you're not going to be able to find your style. If you want to find your style as quick as possible, you want to, because your style, it consists of all these aspects. Your style doesn't just only consist of what lighting that you do or what color palette that you do. It also consists of what type of model are you going to use. What do they wear, the styling, the locations that you'd like to shoot in. It's very specific to that. So when you think of a photographer's style, you don't just think of, oh, this is how they light and this is how they compose, what lenses and what cameras they use. That is the minimum. That's like only one little part about their style. It also comes down to what skin color the models are. There's some photographers out there that basically only shoot like black models, and there's ones that only shoot white models, and there's ones where they only shoot female models, and ones that only shoot male models, or there's a very specific, they only shoot high fashion types of photo shoots. It's beyond just, oh, your lighting and your compositions and what gear you're going to use, but it's everything. And so obviously when you're doing these genius photo shoots and you're considering everything, not just your lighting and your cameras, but you're also considering the styling or whatever it is, when you're doing that, you get to look back on the shoots and be like, which ones did I like the most? And you can find, okay, I liked when I shot like this type of model or this type of styling. I've kind of found out what I like. If you want to know what type of stuff I like to do with models, I like to go for more unorthodox models. I like models maybe a bit slimmer models. I like models with tattoos, with cool like hair. Maybe the styling is kind of different and not something that's not traditional. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I like. And the only way I was able to find that out was through this extensive planning and thinking about everything in my photo. So let's say now a client messages you for a photo shoot. They inquire to you about, they want to do a photo shoot with you and you want it to be creative. You need to express to them that you want it to be creative. Because sometimes it's like with clients, so with some like brands or whatever, they sometimes want to play it safe and they want to do more commercial, more like safe types of photos. But it's your job as a photographer to pitch to them why it should be more creative and different and experimental. Again, like making a PDF, like basically what the stuff you've been doing for the Genius shoots, making a little PDF for it, like really like explaining the concepts and being like, we should do something like this type of lighting or this type of model, whatever it is, because I think like this could really pop out and make your brand or whatever it is look unique, and which could obviously help with their sales and make more money or whatever it is. And again, like I said earlier, you want to do this from the start. Don't like, think, oh, okay, I'll do some boring shoots and then like halfway through when I get better, then I'll do like stylized and fun shoots. Like, no, like do that from the very beginning, because then that's gonna really like fast track your progress or fast track your journey into becoming a genius photographer, which is something that you want as quick as possible, because you don't want to like be doing this for like 3 years until you actually start getting work. So by doing it from the start, that is what's gonna like make sure you're able to get to that part, like where I am and beyond, much quicker. Becoming a successful, stylized and genius photographer takes time. It takes a lot of effort. For me, it took me over a year to get to the position that I'm in right now, where I'm able to land consistent clients and be able to create stylized work, and it shouldn't for you. And that is why I created my program, Photo Genius University. Get access to courses like here. This is my program, by the way, on the screen. There's some courses there that will basically give you all of my industry insights and just give you the blueprint to how I got into my position, so you can get there as quick as possible. Because I had to make so many little mistakes and I plateaued a lot, and I was just like, still, it took a really long time to find myself and find out what I like to shoot and how I can actually make this profitable. But if you're in this program, you will not have to go through all the struggles that I did. I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to build your portfolio from the ground up, or even if it isn't from the ground up, if it's already established in a way, but turning that portfolio into a profitable business, making real money from this business model as a portrait and fashion photographer. So guys, if you're interested in that is top link below. Guys, feel free to check it out if it's for you. I'd love to see you inside, because I want you to see real progress as a photographer. Because if you're watching this video, you probably take this very seriously. So this program is definitely gonna be for you. But anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Click on any of these videos here to learn more about portrait photography. I'll see you next time guys. Goodbye.